What's going on, guys? It's your boy Yen here from Yen's Well, back again with another anime review. This time we are tackling JJK, which just came off a spectacular third season. Unfortunately, it's only part one of possibly multiple parts of the Culling Games. We're not sure how many parts we're gonna get. I'm assuming about 2, but hopefully we get a few more. With the end of this first part of the Culling Games, we can take a deep dive into some of these episodes, which were, I want to say, pretty damn good this whole season. Now, if you're new here, I am an anime reaction channel and review channel, so if this is the first time you're seeing me, go check out the playlist link down below that has my entire reaction to this third season. And just a reminder, if you haven't seen any of the other anime reviews, I am going to give it a score out of 10, so make sure you stick around and watch for my final score. Now, I am going to break up this review into 2 halves. We're going to have the first half, which is covering the first 6 episodes, and then, of course, the second half covering the back half of the season. Now, before we get into the review, if you enjoy it, make sure to leave a like down below, and in the comments, let me know what you thought of this season and what you thought of my review. Make sure, drop a comment down below, tell me what you would rate this season. And if you want to see more reviews and more reactions out of me, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll grow this community together. I think the first 2 episodes that came out together perfectly encapsulated how this season was going to go. It gave us a lot of energy, a good amount of story to progress the plot, and we got the return of Yuta finally in a full season of anime. I think myself and some of the people I know, and probably you guys as well, were coming off those first 2 episodes so hyped and ready for more. Unfortunately, that's when we hit the 3rd episode, which hits us with a brick wall and stops the action completely. I know the ongoing meme is that JJK manga readers do not like to actually read, so this episode hurt the most for them, and I know it didn't get the highest reviews. Personally, I really did enjoy this episode because we got some of the most beautiful frames and artwork that we've gotten from JJK in a long time. And yes, it was a lot to take in, but I feel like there's not a better way to explain that much information. Unfortunately, Gege has a story he wants to tell, and he wants to tell it right, so we have to absorb that information before we can enjoy the rest of the Culling Games. But on that note, I feel like that episode was forgiven because the very next episode, we got the masterpiece, which was Maki taking out the entire Zenin Clan. If you haven't seen my reaction, this episode destroyed me, and it's probably one of my favorite episodes I've ever reacted to, which is unfortunate because it didn't get a lot of views. But man, oh man, I was not expecting this beautiful story that we got with Mai, and then to follow up immediately with this massacre that we got right after that just left me jaw-dropped the entire time. Seeing Maki at 100% in her full Toji phase was insane, and just putting people down like it was light work. I did skip over Naoya in the first 2 episodes, but they did a good job encapsulating what kind of personality he had and showing that it's kind of underhanded. And even though we didn't get a lot of interaction between him and Maki, we got to understand very quickly what kind of dynamic they had, and for her to get her get back in such a way that she did, chef's kiss. The next 2 episodes followed up that masterpiece with a slow burn but interesting way of meeting Hakari and finding out what kind of person he is and what he's doing now. But shout out to my boy Principal Yaga, rest in peace, what a king. He was doing good in the world, and unfortunately they took him out for it. And the yell that we got from Panda at the beginning of that episode, that was chilling. But fast forward a little bit, we were able to sneak into this fight club that Hakari and Kiara are running, and in the end, Megumi has a deadly duel against Kiara with a little bit of help from Panda. But that was another great action set piece that we got this season. I honestly really do love Kiara, and I think her ability is probably one of the most interesting ones. If you weren't able to figure out like the genius Megumi, you are so screwed, but I think that she could be very helpful to our gang in the future. I'm very, very excited to see what she brings to the table. Also, another shout out to our king Bunny Kaisen, the absolute go of this series. Bring him back and let him take someone else. Honestly, I need the Sukuna versus Bunny Kaisen fight. And finally, we end the first half with meeting our boy Hakari, the king himself. What a great voice actor they chose for him, but also very interesting character. I'm very, very excited to see what he can bring to the table as well, because we didn't get to see a lot of his ability, but from what we did see, it was kind of interesting. He was pulling out doors from subways or something like that, and he's clearly very physically strong, enough to send Yuji, who's also a physically gifted character, flying. And he's only doing all this to progress his own system. But honestly, I kind of like a self-centered character. We don't get a lot of them sometimes, so seeing him sticks out among the rest. Now, tackling this back half of this season, we get introduced to some of the characters I fell in love with the absolute most between Higuruma, Registar, and Ishigori. Oh my god. And then that last episode, well, we'll get there. But also, we got introduced to the character I'm a D1 hater for, Remy. Oh my god. Did I want Megumi to take her out? And when she didn't get taken out, I was so upset. But now the boys have entered the Culling Games in that Tokyo colony, and immediately they're both catching smoke. One of my favorite things in this series has been watching Yuji grow and how methodical he's become, especially mid-fight. And when he takes on both the flying duo, he is literally on his game, and we see that even in his fight against Higuruma. Meanwhile, Megumi is dealing with Remy's dumb antics, and he puts her in her place right away. She seems like a mistress in distress, but honestly, she's just two-faced and a backstabber. Which is insane because we go from meeting Remy to immediately meeting Higuruma, one of the best characters introduced to this show by far. Showing us, the audience, his backstory and how far he's come, but also what's been pushing him to his absolute limits, to the point where it breaks him and changes him as a person. So he ends up going on this rampage in the Tokyo colony, not necessarily by choice, but because people keep forcing him. And the beauty of it is he's not even doing it to them directly. They are doing it to themselves because he's showing them their crimes and putting them in a position where they need to be punished for it. But our boy Yuji is the one to show them that people can show remorse and feel bad, and even though they've maybe committed some sins, it might not be because they wanted to in the first place. So after watching a spectacular battle between Yuji and Higuruma, we finally get a resolution where Higuruma's actually willing to help us. Unfortunately, he steps away, but same thing as the other new characters, I really want to see more out of him. I'm hoping, please bring him back. He's got such a strong, unique ability that is insanely wasted if we don't get more out of it. Not to mention he mastered domain expansion so quickly because he's just mentally on that level with such a high IQ that something so simple like a basic domain that doesn't require a one-shot kill, he was able to pick up after what, 3, 4 days, 7 days? Not even? Now that you've heard me glaze the hell out of Higuruma, let's get on to Megumi's battles with Registar, but also another character who gets introduced who is just as spectacular, the GOAT himself, Takaba. Megumi versus Reggie is probably the peak Megumi we've gotten in this entire series. We've seen flashes of him do incredible things, but we've never seen him use his full potential. And here we go, finally seeing him use his domain in a masterful way and putting Registar in a position where he cannot fight back with all the tricks he had up his sleeves. In my reaction, I even called out that they are both masters of pulling out random crap from their asses with Megumi's shouts and Registar's receipts. And yes, I understand that his name is a play on Register. As for Registar, I got it. But I'm going to glaze Megumi a little bit more. We got a lot of great scenes out of him this season, between him pulling shit out of his shadows, going into them like a demon, and absolutely tricking the hell out of people with how useful his shadows can be. I would say the episode of Megumi versus Reggie was probably one of my favorite episodes this season and falls in my number 3 place, falling right after Maki versus the Zenin Clan. But we all know which one's my number 1. But before that, we're going to talk about Takaba. What an absolute beast. This character, I already fell in love with watching the intro because he gave off such an interesting energy and such a happy vibe around this whole shenanigans we're dealing with the Culling Games that I really liked him. But then when we finally met him, I got to understand, oh, he's not just interesting, he's actually pretty funny. Maybe not funny in our traditional terms, but funny as in what he brings to this show. He shows up like the good guy he is and helps Megumi, and then proceeds to make Iori look like an absolute clown. And Iori is not someone you just trifle with. That ability is pretty insane. I could see a lot of people struggling against him, but he made a joke of it. Literally batted off everything and didn't even sweat the whole fight. And once we learn what his actual curse ability is, we finally see that this man could literally be disastrous if he was on the opposing side. Thank God he's working for the good guys and he's here to help. And maybe he's not helping in the way we expect him to, but he's having a good time while doing it. And as long as he's taking out bad guys, we're here for it. Also, we got a little flash of him running next to Yuji for the next part. So I'm so excited to see what that dynamic will be like. And finally, we hit what I'm assuming most people's favorite episode this season is, Yuta in the Sendai colony. Now bear with me, I know I've been glazing the hell out of this whole season, but I'm about to glaze it even more. It is a damn shame we didn't get to see more of Yuta this season, but man, the episode they gave him was just a brilliant showcase on how much of an absolute beast he is. He literally rolls up into the Sendai colony with 4 powerhouses holding it down, and he single-handedly takes out all 4 of them. As far as masterpiece episodes go, this is up there. I don't know many other shows that have an episode this damn strong. We got introduction to multiple characters that were interesting, especially Ishigori. I really did like his character and the vibe they gave him with him just trying to find some satisfaction in life. But then we got Takakao and Kuroshi. And alongside them, we got to see Yuta at his best. Finally, seeing after all his training, what the payoff has finally been for. Not only his masterful use of Rika, but also the copy technique that he has and his fighting capabilities. That man took almost everyone on hand to hand like it wasn't anything. And we learned that he has a domain expansion. And I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about this, but I'm so excited to see what that is in the future, because we barely got a glimpse of it, but it could be phenomenal. And using his copy ability, I could see it being insanely overpowered. And one of the best parts was, he didn't even have to kill Takakao and Ishigori. He was able to convince them to give him their points after he wiped the floor with them. And that's my boy Yuta just being the good guy he's always been since JJK 0. Now, a few topics to touch on. Goddamn, was the animation on fire this season. We barely got anything that didn't look phenomenal. There's definitely a few scenes where they dumbed down the animation, but honestly, I didn't really mind it a whole lot. And I know some people might have not enjoyed that, but for me, it didn't break the experience. If anything, it made me more attentive to what I was going to see on screen. And the music. I feel like everyone doesn't talk about the music in this show, but I personally am a huge fan of the soundtracks from every season. The opening and the outro were both so perfect for this season. They set the tone on both the despair, but also the energy we were going in with. And from hearing Maki and Mai's theme to Megumi's theme in their battles, just hit me so good. And they even reused Maki and Mai's song during Higuruma's backstory, and that just hit so hard for me because it is such an emotionally pulling song that when you don't even realize it's there, it is making you feel something. Now for my full review score of this season, I'm gonna give JJK Season 3 Culling Games Part 1 the score of 9.5 out of 10, baby. Woo! A new high for the channel. And hey, that might just be my bias. I personally really do love JJK. So if you don't agree with that score, feel free to let me know in the comments. I feel like this season was almost a perfect season all around. I don't know what more we could have asked for. The only part it lost at 0.5 was because we did have 2 slower episodes, one of them being the episode where we got to talk and learn about the Culling Games. And yes, that was kind of a hard pill to swallow coming off the first 2 episodes. But when we talk about the grand scheme of this whole season, we got great action set pieces, we got phenomenal artwork, we got phenomenal animation, we got great sound design, and amazing music. I can't ask for more, honestly. I feel from what I saw online that maybe that first half wasn't hitting for everyone, but by the second half of the season, I feel like everyone was on board for what we were getting. And of course, that final episode, the triple domain expansion, the music, just Yuta being absolutely godly. it just made up for any downfall this season it really had. Now, once again, I'm gonna preface, this is my opinion, and if you don't agree with it, that's okay. Let me know why, let me know what you thought of it, and of course, give me your ratings in the comments, because maybe I will change my rating based on what you tell me. I'm very, very curious to know what the overall community census is on this season. Now, with that all said and done, that was my review. So, if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, and in the comments let me know what you thought of the season, what you think of my review. And of course, if you want to see more anime reactions, more anime reviews, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll keep making what I can to keep you guys entertained. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next anime review.